Hello, my name is CJ Robles and I am a filmmaker. And I'm a fan of comic conventions. I also like a really good story. When you can take a really good story and mix it with some form of media, the possibilities are endless. You could have comic books, movies, video games, videos. You can have board games. You could have so many things. I am a kid from the 90s. So being born and raised on the Texas border, there really wasn't much to do. So I chose after school to get lost in the world of television. Fox had a series of animated shows that we would watch after school. So we had anything from Batman the Animated Series, Spider-Man the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, Eek the Cat, Life with Louie, the Animaniacs, to name a few. Those were all the really nice animated shows. There are a lot more I would watch. But there was a live action show called The Power Rangers, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And I grew up watching that show as well. There was a point there as the season started progressing. I enjoyed the Power Rangers a lot, but I had a hard time connecting it with it. The three of the characters that I thought I kind of was trying to get to like were like Billy. I thought I could kind of be the nerd guy, but that really wasn't me. Zach was way too cool, and Jason was more of the leader. I didn't really have leader abilities back then. But then somewhere during the season, the season one, they introduced Tommy Oliver, played by martial artist, entrepreneur, actor Jason David Frank, and he came in as the Green Ranger. So the initial fives were red, blue, black, pink, and yellow, and then this green color showed up, and he was the alternative kid. This is more somebody I could relate to. And as I went from elementary to junior high to high school, I still kept up with the Power Rangers as much as I could, but it was one of those that I was happy that it was still going as I was getting older, but I just didn't keep up with it. I did, however, keep up with Jason David Frank. And there was a point there where he started showing us his abilities and things he can do. And then I started seeing him at the conventions, and just the life and the energy that he brought to everything. I was like, eventually I'm going to meet him, because I am a fan and I fanboy. So I try to line things up so where it's like mentally I'm doing good, emotionally, and I can meet somebody that I don't find. And I fanboy out the first time, so it's it's kind of hard to to kind of want to be professional, but also be yourself. And also, I don't know. It's the thing I've as I've been going to the conventions, I've picked up on about myself, because I started the conventions, and I started a podcast / show called My Manic Mondays, a movie and mental health show. Something about movies, and I'm a big aware about mental health and how you have to kind of live with it. And the movies is something that I like to go and always watch. I make them, I write them, I spend time with them. When on October 30th, 2022, I was in San Antonio, Texas, and I was at Big Texas Comic Con. And I got to meet a lot of stars from like Scream, a couple wrestlers. Got to meet quite a few people. Got to meet Billy West, he was there. And Jason David Frank was there. Outside of the Scream trio, and Jason David Frank, like that was the amount of people that were there for them. It was just big lines, it was everywhere. So I kind of hung out, and I just kind of saw Jason David Frank interact with all his fans. Man, he's so active, so live, so sincere. When I got to my turn to meet him, I was kind of like the last one to go, fourth, fifth last one to go. I showed him my card and just told him, hey, I just took my shot. And I said, if you ever want to come on my show and talk mental health, feel free to come on. And from that point, he said, you do mental health? You want to talk? And I said, yes. And he said, all right, wait right here, and in a little bit, come back, and we'll talk mental health. Do you want to record? Do you want to do an interview? And I was like, yeah. I was thinking teleconference. And he was like, let's do it now. I was like, sure. And so at the Big Texas Comic Con, I got to sit down and have a conversation about mental health with Jason David Frank. Unfortunately, on November 19th, 2022, Jason David Frank passed. He's no longer with us. So I have this interview here with him that I sat down and had to talk to him about mental health. And I want to share it with everybody. So this is going to be a straight, no edits interview. The beginning of this interview is going to be a lot of me, so I don't really have to introduce myself too much. I already did, but he was interviewing me, and I just started recording, and he said, "Okay, let's do this." And starting to get to know him a little bit better as I do the interview, I really got to. We talked about mental health. We talked about a lot of things. So here's the interview, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Enjoy.
Need to hear, because most people are too scared to talk about it, because it's not a perfect life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like what's important, is to let people know.
Yeah, that's the main thing, and I do appreciate you taking the time.
No, I agree.
I do have the show called My Manic Mondays, which was based off a business idea I had to make a video store to bring them back, and not just like, I actually tried to physically make one in my hometown, but didn't work out.
Yeah.
The city was kind of like, we don't want that here. I was like, oh, that's weird. So I made it digital.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I made it. I was like, well, it's the new future. We're all going in the advancements, and I was thinking, what do you call it?
I would say you could film some clips of us.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, what do you call it? Well, I 2019, I probably got to the conventions. I've been wanting to go for years. My son was born, and everybody's like, you better start going now and do things you want to do now, or it's gonna be harder. And they're right. It's been 4 years, and I'm like, I get it. 2019, I started hitting the conventions, and I was like, I found my place. I never thought I was good enough to be around the people. Yeah. So when I got here the first time, I was like, everybody's like positive. Everybody's like, this is our world. It's a bubble that exists for only like a weekend or a day, but it's here. I slowly started spending more time with conventions with people, and then kind of just started a network, and we started an online network because of the pandemic. And I was like, I lost my outlet. These were my things.
I get a pen and paper too. I'm gonna write notes down too.
I lost my outlet, and basketball was my thing.
Yep.
My parents never around. Basketball was my thing, my physical sport. I feel like I lost that.
Yeah.
So a lot of things I had set up to do were for me to help them. Like, I'm manic depressive, so I work on that a lot. I'm high aware of it. I understand how this goes with my body. I understand my mind. I understand everything.
So like your manic's high is what?
Yeah, it gets
mine
hit.
Too. Mine too. Mine
it'll hit
really high.
It'll hit hard, and then it'll dip down, and I'll get low, and it's like for no reason, just an old process. So learning how to do things, like I started gardening, which I never thought. Like, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I started doing it. I got into it. Everyone posting on social media, everyone's like, hey, Mr. Green Thumb. I was like, cool, that's awesome. So then I was like, well, gardening is a set it and forget it thing. And then I said, what else can I do? I watch a lot of movies. I post them online, and one of my buddies was like, hey, we should do a podcast. Let's start talking about movies. And we just started watching 2 movies a week, and they had something in common. And
that was during COVID?
During COVID, like right when it hit us. Like I had to start something. My buddy was like, let's do this. So we started watching the movies, but I didn't realize all these movies we were watching, just any movies we were watching, I didn't realize how a lot of these affected me as a child. Like when I was a kid, I'd watch this movie because it's a comedy. Not thinking I'm supposed to actually hold on to the scenes or whatnot. This is a horror movie. This is it. But I feel like it started speaking to me. I started learning about horror movies, that they have more of a realness to them, that a lot of people don't really want to talk about half the time, that they want to avoid things, but in horror movies are there. Comedies are there to make you happy, and then have this like dark comedies, supposed to, and you start learning that. Well, I got into with the network.
I write notes down. I'm gonna talk about you. If you don't mind.
I'm fine. I got my notes too for you. But I want to say I got the mental health aspect was because I was like, there's something here with movies and mental health. I know I'm aware of it. I'm big into I'm aware of ABA, which is behavior therapy.
Okay.
And that's a lot of things of just like repetition, setting a goal and hitting it and whatnot. The thing about my show was I just started interviewing more people, like other filmmakers, other writers, other like animators, other just people that love have passions. Yeah. That's one thing I got from you, is that passion thing. And just watching you, we're setting this up, I was like, holy crap, you are the real deal. Yeah. It is really hard for people to accept that in this world as well as actually in the reality outside. Yeah. When you meet someone like you, that's what I was saying, like, a couple years ago, you posting those IGs of being positive and just, I was like, this guy is something. You're forming into something that's beyond Power Rangers. And everything, it's called. You're a Power Ranger. I look about like the energy, the power. You have all that. I see it. You're on display. I saw you walk in yesterday, and I was like, oh, that's what $1 million like feel. Not money. That's what it is.
The emotional bank account is what people need. That's not a financial bank account, an emotional bank account. And when you have that, it doesn't mean everything's always right, but this for me is still a deposit in my emotional bank account. And it's one of those things where people are there to see you, and it's, you should be, as an actor, not a celebrity, you should be proud and happy. You know what I mean? And with no expectation at all. I underestimated this show. Every show, I will treat it like if there's one person there. And my motto is to treat the last person that I meet just like the first. Yes. It's hard to do, but that's just the way it is. You know.
And then when did this turn into you to be like that? Is it just something that you've always been like, or did you notice that you can tell between fans and you kind of saw the whole thing and you were like, or?
Well, there's one thing that I will go back in time, but there's one thing during COVID that of course we launched the movie, but I'm not here to promote my movie, but. The one thing during COVID that I realized is that your mind can tune into other aspects of things, right? Like your voice, or we can work around what we have. And one thing I noticed that the eyes was what I would see. And there's no really connection, and I meet other actors and it's just hollow. I'm seeing through them. I'm not, and especially when I was doing my movie, like with Michael and Matt's who's hard, Mark Dacascos, they were absorbing what I was saying. And listening is the biggest thing to do, but I'm a talker. And that's why people are like, you talk so much, but it's my job. I thought that's what I'm supposed to do. I do a panel. So I decided to release Mask on my YouTube channel probably about 3 years ago, somewhere in there, about 3 years ago. It was my first poem. And I have lots of poems. And the only way I can really express myself is through like poetry, metaphors. I'm not good at grammar. You're not gonna see periods, you're not gonna see commas, but it shouldn't matter about the grammar, it should matter about the heart.
Yeah.
So as you said, I started looking back. I deal with ADD, ADHD, a lot of mental health issues. I wrote a film called In My Head. It was a 9-minute film, and it talks about, it's me talking to 9 different people. Doesn't mean I have all different personalities, but I want to connect to everyone that has issues. And one of the issues was suicide, and he wasn't there. And then this was all happening in my mind. So I looked at the camera, I said, this is something you'll never see because it's in my head. So then I started realizing that it's just a label. It really is a label. And I know it's issues we deal with, but it's a label. Oh, you have bipolar. Oh, you have anxiety. They start labeling you.
That's where I have
in school.
Yeah.
With bullying. I wrote a poem called Bully. And if you watch the poem, I used to be bullied. And so through the martial arts, I developed this discipline. But as you get older and you realize, maybe it's okay to talk about this. You express yourself, boom, you get shut down. You let your walls down, boom, you get hurt. So I'm an 8-3 black belt. I'm a tough guy. And they say, you write poetry? It's harder to write poetry in your feelings and talk about what you feel than it is fighting for me.
That's what I had here for you.
It really is. So as I say, I have ADD. So where did this come from? It really came from my whole life of figuring things out. But then I figured if I'm a celebrity, I'm just a guy that likes making movies. So I released Mask. Sean Ashton, all these people were big, Bruce Campbell, all these people were big on it. Except there was one individual who's an actor, I'm not going to mention, that said, hey, you do that, your career is going to be ruined. Because you gotta be this, what you see. Like you say, I walk in, inside, $1 million man, but it's the outside you see, but we always, like a pastor says, Stephen always says, you got to look deeper. And some people don't look deep. They just see what they see. Yeah. And this is why I chose, to do this, is because on these shows, I don't get paid. If you want to get something, you get something. If you don't, you don't. I'm the boss. I'm my own CEO. I got higher power, but I'm my own CEO, and I hold myself accountable. So once I started releasing Mask, I said, oh no. It talks about putting a mask on. Everything's fine. This, and then it goes into mental prison, where it's like, what is mental prison? It could be relationships. It can be your job. It could be, mental prison could be never coming out of your head. And so I did the Mask. I did mental prison. And then I took a break and did Branches, which is like a little different. There's a lot of poems on there. So what happened was, okay, I'm sharing this, and then a fan's gonna come up. I hear more stories, honestly, 30% of the stories, I have people crying. I have people saying that it hit me hard when someone said they had a rope around their neck when they were 12.
Yeah. Man, that's what.
But the thing about that is they looked at Power Rangers and it saved their life. So I figured if I was on TV saving lives, what can I do to save lives? And anyone out there always says, well, you don't know what it's like. You're rich and famous. It ain't about that, because money is money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't do this for anything else except for this. And this is the reason why I was like, I got to do this. It was just something that was on my heart to do. And I started realizing these kids are growing up 20 years later, realizing now it takes 20 years to realize the values of what we taught. Yeah. And Power Rangers taught a little, but once it started coming out and people said, hey, I want to tell you something, JDF, not Tommy. You saved my life. Yeah, thanks. I'm hearing a 12-year-old, no, mask, watching your poetry, saved my life. Wow. So I didn't lose fans. I gained fans to say, hey, you're normal. I am normal. Yeah. I wear a suit because Bruce Campbell tells me to wear a suit and dress up. Right?
He does say that.
I dress up for the fans. Like if you went on a date or a dinner, you dress up.
Yeah.
A lot of celebrities, you don't even know who they are because they just, it seems like they're just, don't shave and hat and empty, hollow eyes. So during COVID, I realized that the connection to listen is more important than anything. And I don't see that a lot with a lot of people. Like if we're talking, it's sinking.
Yeah.
Some actors and other people are just hollow. It's just this, hey, how's it going? But this is how I was at the table with you. This is how I am in the green room, right? This is it. This is how I'm here. But when I get back to the hotel, I don't know how I'm going to be. I deal with everything like this. I've been signing for hours and gave out 500 autographs for free and did pictures and made sure everyone was taken care of. So I was a giver to ignore the issues that I have. So now, you start accepting. So I started writing to release pain. And that was my outlet. Like everyone needs an outlet. Like I wrote down here, that was my outlet, writing. But also riding motorcycles was an outlet. If I didn't, I was too scared to let people know I wrote poetry. It was like poetry, rapper? No, I'm a poet. Okay. And there's a lot of things into that. So it's real stuff.
And that's what I wrote too, because the thing about feelings, like there's no shame there. It's really like an expression. And like I was telling you before I started, like, being put in this box, like you said earlier, they label you like, oh, sorry, pobrecito, Spanish. Like, oh, you can. I'm like, doesn't mean I can't do it. It doesn't mean anything about it. But if that's the way you see me, then that makes it easier for me not to waste my energy on you. Yeah. But I did hate having to have to go through that when you can't just see me for what I am and call me what I am for you. Like, don't. If everybody says this and that, it's a bunch of hee-haw. But the feelings part about it, if you're willing to, I mean, honestly, you are one of the realest people that I've met. And also the fact that you're right. People do, when you meet a celebrity, they do we got my photo here. They look up, they look at you, and then there's like, all right. And then after that, it does get to a point where there's no connection there. So some people come to see somebody, and if it's not a great experience, it's not a good thing. But that I wanted to.
I'm gonna write something down real quick about the celebrity, because it's just, that word is just so to me, and I'm gonna tell you why. So everyone, we got a 1 in 10. When I meet you, you're 10, right? Mm-hmm. If I don't like you, 9, 8, 7, 8. But celebrities, we start as a 5. We start as a 5. So here's what people say when they meet me. Everybody, actually, he's a cool guy. But if I was a 10, you wouldn't say that. If I walk around and say, actually, he was a cool guy. I know you're a cool guy. I don't need to say it. So we come with the label. And unfortunately, there are some celebrities out there that put us on that 5.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting how I started realizing, I go somewhere, if people, treat me very kind, which has happened before, man, it really melts my heart. I do things for homeless, and I talk, but you know what they want? Some want money, but some just want to talk. And I can relate. I used to do shows, and I used to go and talk to the homeless people because they don't care who I am. They care for this. So that's why we're a 5. And then you talk, and you're like, actually, he was a pretty cool guy. Or, nope, you're a 4. I don't like him. So it's a very, very hard spot to fit in. You know what I mean?
That's what I wanted. 2 things I really was just meeting you, and I wanted just talking about it is like
fitting in, being yourself, it's easy for you to do that. Showing up here as yourself, is that hard? Is that a challenge? Because I feel like the people you would come in to see you, you know, you deal with so many people. They have their opinions of you too, and they're telling you to your face. Is that like a...
Well, it's not hard, but being an actor, you know, you're always, something happens, they blast you, this happens, that goes, but people really know my true heart. And it's in nature that when people make mistakes in life, it's not just mistakes now, it's mistakes then, that you have to own up to it. I don't like the fact where people don't own up to a mistake. But for example, today, let's say 60%, love Power Rangers, man, that was this. The other 40%, thanks for talking. Thanks for engaging. Thanks for hearing my story. I didn't have a dad. You were, you know, my dad growing up. People don't understand that because the show takes you to a childhood, it saved lives. It filled a lot of empty holes. And I don't think that can do that anymore with these kids, because what we have is phones now that just, it happens like this. And back then we used to run home from school, watch it. I was only hired for 14 episodes. That's it. And I became the longest existing Ranger. So people say how. This is my belief. I know, you know, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, they have a different outlook. Motivators have a different outlook. You have the past, you have now, and you have the future. I don't want to live in the past. I have an idea of what I want to do in the future, but your life can end like that. So if you don't put 110% in today, you won't have a better tomorrow. Meaning if look, 2 days, right? Hardly any food, just grinding and grinding. So this message is for someone, but it's the moment. If I put 110% in today, this might hit someone and save someone's life. And people look at that like Train Me JDF, right? It takes me a lot of money to do that program. People don't know why I did that program. Not one person ever come up and said, hey, why did you do Train Me JDF? Oh, it must be a money thing. It's not a money thing. We don't make a lot of money on it. You know what it is? I used to teach like one-on-one to see if this could work. You know, I had 2 people. I had one kid who, he looked very bored, but he didn't know his camera was on. So he was waiting for me to show up to teach. So he was just real depressed, right?
Yeah.
As soon as I came, oh, wow, man, you know, he trained and trained. And so we had four lessons, and I was teaching karate, not knowing that he had mental health issues. Well, 4 weeks later, he took his life. And his mom called me and said, can he be buried in all your Power Ranger stuff and this and that? And I said, yes. I said, if I can go back in time, those 4 lessons would have been something great. And I asked his mom, I said, I got to know this. Did he like these classes? Because he looked very bored in the beginning. She says, no, it's just the computer didn't load. That's the only thing he looked forward to those 4 weeks. So I figured if I start a program, if it meant that much to him, maybe someone's going to look at my Train Me and go, hey, this is cool. I'm going to take karate, or, you know, be motivated to work out. So that's the reason why I've done stuff. I've lost a lot of people to suicide, a lot of people, a lot of deaths, and nobody talks about all that during COVID because it's all politics, and I stay neutral and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let the record reflect.
Yeah.
But no one talks about that, and that's what people need to do. And Zachary Levi, he talks about mental health all the time. I don't watch his movies. I like him because he's a big celebrity, but I say a person that talks about what we need, and people are too afraid. So when I started releasing this, it didn't hurt me. It helped people. But what I was trying to say is no one cares about a car that's 19 years old.
Yeah.
They care about it when it's 20. So when Power Rangers became a classic 20 years later, then people care. And now it's going on to 30 years. Yeah. And now I have my own IP, and it's going to carry on and carry on and carry on. So it's okay, and you're right. No one should say your feelings are wrong. That's why when I post my videos on YouTube, I don't know if I have any thumbs down or anything like that. But if you put thumbs down on your feelings on a poem, then you're just a troll. Yeah. Because those feelings should be your feelings. Yeah. That's why people write songs about this and that. And if you wrote a song about how you feel about someone dying or yourself, then they need to validate it. I shouldn't put thumbs down on it. Yeah. So it was I think this is meant to be talk for me, because my life's not perfect. The more I talk about it, the more I start justifying that this is okay, and it's a reminder for me, because I'm not perfect. It's a reminder for us, for them.
And also, dude, you do so many things, and I was just because I follow you on IG, and I'm like, between exercise, meditation, martial arts, you've basically figured out a way to like stay in the moment, and you keep your mind fresh.
Yeah.
You have a ton of energy. You're walking and you're shaking hands. You're doing kicks. I saw you kicking right now in a suit.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So you're doing all that. I'm wondering, like, is this something that you trained when you were younger and you just kept going with it? Was there a point there where you were like, I think I need to focus on this?
Through the martial arts has kept me disciplined. For me, it's like a timeline. You know what I mean? It's like it's like a timeline. It's like beep, beep, like a heartbeat. And these are the top peaks that people don't see, right? Because some real vulnerable moments you don't want to blast out there on IG and all that stuff. So there are things that I go through in life that, are little gaps that I have to clear up for myself, like deal with me, deal with the quiet time, deal with when you're in your head, deal with the insecurities, people blasting you, saying something stupid on Instagram, like, remember, people will judge you. You look old, you look tired, you look this, you look that. Even though I say it doesn't bother me, it's the whole saying, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. That's not true, because as a kid, subconsciously is where you develop your problems. And that's where we developed our problems that we don't know we developed it. Through those subconscious mind of people saying, don't let that bother you. That's just, and then we say, I don't let it bother me, but deep inside we do. Because if everyone spoke the truth of how they feel, I would say right after this, I'm going to say it was an exhausting day. I haven't eaten, and then I'm going to have my head just go like this. So there's a moment in that moment where a lot of that stuff can settle. Depression, anxiety. I've had anxiety on stage before, and you'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know when my mom died and I'm signing autographs. You know what I mean? Because that moment will take you away, meaning that's my dojo. So when I started training, that was a place where I would go and forget about all my problems. But it's somewhere I went too much.
Okay.
Because the problems were developing, and I had an acting coach named Howard Fine, saved Brad Pitt's career on one movie. And he would tell me one thing: when you come to my class, drop your luggage at the door. And that's what I tell my students: drop your luggage at the door. So every time I dropped my luggage at the door, it got bigger and bigger. So I wrote a poem called Luggage, where your luggage became so big and so heavy that you're gonna have to deal with them sometimes. So you let it build up. And that's what mask is all about. Mask means take it off before you wear it too long, because it's gonna melt on your face and you're never gonna be able to express who you are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know.
So the the true answer of, I like to be transparent with people, and that's one of the things in life that I've always been. I've never been able to figure out my timeline on the balance between personal, business, mental health, all that stuff. I wasn't able to balance it because I've been on my mark. Stand there on your mark, and that's where I disappear. And that's where I can become myself. But then there's darker versions that you have to go through in order to hit the mark. So maybe I spent there a little too long. But now, during masking those 3 years, I'm realizing, hey man, what do I do with my time off? Things start developing. And so I'm learning and figuring out that way, but also being blessed in my beliefs and by people around you. And Branches was written for one thing: people come in your lives for seasons.
Yeah.
Some friends, but don't trust everyone. The best person you trust is yourself, but you have to get the problems out. And I wrote another poem called Mirrors, where you look in the mirror and quit pointing the mirror to other people. So there's a lot of things. If people say they have no issues, that's like going to church. Who's never sinned? Raise your hand. Okay, Jesus, leave.
Yeah.
Because you just got to be honest. So transparency for me is important. And then there's, privacy, very small privacy actors have without people digging and judging and all that stuff. And So it's a tough fine line balance, but if I can make someone's life better,
Yeah.
I can make my life better, and here's something to deposit in my emotional bank account.
Yeah.
That's great, because it's not about money for me. It's not. People look, oh, it's not. Any one of these shows, I've never been paid. You get something or you don't. I had a news crew show up the other day. They didn't buy anything. I gave them hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, took a picture, and they said, man, this is, we're going to do an interview from the news. I didn't know who they were. And I said, I'm glad you experienced this moment, because this is what my program's about.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I, created the PPP, Power Rangers Protection Program, right? And I went out there and signed autographs for a ton of shops all over the world, or United States, doing it in a safe way, and giving out probably $600,000 to $700,000 in autographs by paying my own way there and walking in and signing everything and leaving. And people ask why. It's because I want to be kind to people, and the more you give, the more you get, but don't go into that with that theory.
Yeah.
You just got to give and don't expect, because you'd be disappointed.
I did like seeing your posts on IG where you were doing like comic book. You would go do a comic book signing, and there you'd be talking. And I was just like, he's like, hey, how's it going? You're going up to people. I'm like, this is like, and then I mean, we fanboy out. We don't expecting it, but some people are like, yeah. And I was just like, I would have been the same way. I saw one where you were in, the guy just froze, and then you moved on. And I was like, that would have been me.
Yeah.
And so that all this like getting time spent with you, and I appreciate this.
Yeah, no
and
problem.
and getting really, I do lack discipline, and I'm always having that trouble. I didn't have that father ceiling there that had me, so it's just kind of been me, my mom, my brother. So it's like, all right, how do we get that? If to take the first step in discipline, where do you start? Where do you tell somebody like this is where I would start?
Well, this is what the truth. It takes 21 days to create a good habit. So you start there. And it takes a lifelong mix and up and down to break a bad habit. So if you want to get into a good habit, for example, I give people this vitamin theory, right? And look, I'm here. Sometimes I drop and slack. So this is my theory. It sounds very stupid, but give yourself 21 days into something. Vitamins. Wake up and take your vitamins every day, 21 days. Will create a good habit. And see if you can go from there. And then work out other habits that you have. And because when you talk about a vitamin theory, that's life. Life is not a race. Life is a marathon. And people want to race, and then what? You die. What do you leave behind? I want to leave a legacy behind. But I want to leave a truthful legacy behind where people can be proud of me, how my story ends. You know what I mean? Because I've been through a lot in life. Yeah. I mean, I lived in a trailer, and people go, I lived in a trailer park too. I'm like, cool. You had carpet, you had running electricity. I didn't. I had a mobile home with no carpet, no electricity, no water. I go to the outhouse, had a shower in the outhouse. It was a tough life. But you know what? Those were good times I should have took advantage of. My brother who passed away, my mom who's no longer here. Those are the times where we did have those moments, because money doesn't buy happiness. No. You could take a person with no money that have mental problems and put them into a body. The people that have money, you're gonna have mental problems. You gotta fix it first, because I'm so sick of that money stuff. The reason why I do it is for my mental health, to get out of the house during the COVID times in a safe way. We've done hundreds of shows, and we've saved comic shops. And look, I'm saying pay my own way, pay my own hotel. It costs nothing. What's the trick? Nothing. We'll show social distancing. You get a ticket, we'll call you up, and we'll call you up. I don't have money, ain't no big deal, man. How you doing? 6 foot away, mask, how you doing? Doing good. Sign stuff, make their day. First step to getting that human interaction back. Yeah. And that's what I had to do for my mental health, for me. And it had to do with a lot of other people. But then I noticed that it just, people weren't talking about it. So your first step into discipline, just remember it takes 21 days to create a good habit, all right? And that's where you start. And I'd like to say the vitamin theory doesn't mean in 21 days you're gonna have vitamin C in your body. Vitamin theory is a lifelong theory. That's what me in martial arts, I'm learning now at this point, being in 8th degree, it's not about moves, it's about philosophy. When I was younger, I got all these, awards of, doctorate in philosophy, blah, blah, blah. I was young, I didn't care. I just wanted to kick butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But as
yeah,
you get
yeah.
older, you start realizing that I'm Hall of Fame with Chuck Norris. I didn't care. I just threw it in a box. You know, those are just achievements on paper.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, it has to be in your heart. So as you get older, you start saying, wow, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Wow, I got this, I got that. But ultimately, your heart is what makes you. And that's what's important. When I tell kids, I give them a necklace and I tell them, listen, this necklace represents kindness. Do you know what that means? Be kind to people. Be kind to people that even hate you.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do. Doesn't mean to be nice. And don't take my kindness for weakness,
Exactly.
but kill them with kindness and eliminate. If they're not depositing in your emotional bank account, you start cutting strings. Because I was pulled in every direction as an actor. Oh, here's it. And I was just doing things like as a puppet. I don't want to be a puppet no more. I want to be like clip, 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 clip. Now I can deal with my mental health. So it's not easy. A lot of people fake it. But look what happens to Robert Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, well, what happened to him? Because you never know. Because his timeline was like this. Beep, 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 beep. And what he liked to do, he liked to make people laugh. And one thing you said that was important, the first note I have is that people never think they're enough.
Yeah.
You know, and number one in the world, even Tony Robbins, you can spend 10 grand and listen to it, is people don't feel loved. And people want to be accepted, they want to feel loved, and they want to know that they're enough. And there's a lot of people that don't. Sometimes I don't think that.
Can
You know
you
what I
see it
mean?
when you meet somebody?
Yeah.
If they don't show it, but
Yeah.
can you see it? You
I
can
tell
see
them. I could see it. I could read people.
Yeah.
I could read people's eyes. I could read what they're up to. I know people. Very careful with wording, even when you meet people, because words are very important. And words that I learned as a kid, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. That's such installed in your brain. And people will tell me, you can't do it, you can't do this, you can't do that. Yes, I can. Not to prove you wrong, but to make sure I'm here in the heart. So people say you can't do it to me, it's like, okay, it becomes a challenge for me. And that's what one thing, to have the discipline, 21 days to create a good habit, and always say I can. Doesn't mean that I don't say I can't sometimes, sure. You need validation from other people, yes. Do you slip? Yes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm my CEO, and I can cancel and make my choices on what I want to do. I can get in and out like all these other actors and be the last actor here talking about what's important right now. And sometimes people come in and out. Example of this. I've been talking too long. But Michael Madsen, okay, I like him as an actor. Really good actor. It goes way back to Power Rangers days, meeting him,
Yeah.
you know, and then meeting his kids, and I just like him. Donnie Brasco, Reservoir Dog, and like gangster guy, real organic. So I had a chance to put him in my film White Dragon, and he played my dad. Most people want to get the money and they want to get out with no emotional residual thoughts, because now thoughts of depression, anxiety start entering my head as we discussed, as you can see, talk about something.
Yeah.
People don't want to do that, so he came in with one purpose. Let me do my job, let me act, and let me leave. Let me do my job, let me act, let me leave. And the first rehearsal we did, you know, it was great. I mean, you know, people were clapping, and he was looking at me, and you know, it was a scene where he was in jail, and I haven't seen him in a long time, and the rehearsal was great. So I thought, we're going to kill it. I could read this guy really well. I could see the weaknesses. And then he said, that's good. And then we did the first take, and he closed all his emotions up, all of them. I couldn't read it. I couldn't follow. I was trying to, everything I said, you never loved my daughter. Okay, I love your daughter. But you never visit me. Okay, yeah, I'll visit. Everything was just so closed, and I was so confused, and I could make myself cry on cue because I have all this stuff inside of me still, and all of a sudden the third take was the last one. We rolled 2 cameras, and organically it was awkward moment seeing my dad that turned into this crazy, beautiful, organic crying for real. And I haven't seen Michael cry in a movie, and it was real tears. And I went back there to say, hey man, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. My dad, he was hanging around for a long time. So we started getting to talk. But then he started talking about things maybe he didn't want to talk about.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
really
yeah,
emotional
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's why you do your job and you leave. And with that, as Eric Reed, a lot of what I've done, you leave with residual emotions. Because I just thought of my mom dying and I'm crying. And I'm like, okay, and cut, goodbye, go home, and you're like, oh man, it's residual, and that's what becomes dangerous. And with Heath Ledger, right, like playing the Joker, I can imagine how dark his thoughts. Just an actor, a deep actor, how deep you can go. And Robert made people laugh, and then people don't understand why. He had a perfect life. He looks so happy. So you have to look past the happiness and look within. You have to really, really see that. And that's where the engagements happen, I believe. Only people that know me can see my pain. Other people that don't know me will never see what I go through. Because those little gaps I hide because they're little vulnerable moments for myself to deal with. You know what I mean?
But those are your moments too. You don't
I have to
you don't
deal
do
with.
that.
Yeah, those are my
Those are your
exactly.
personal, so you don't
90% of my life is out there. I need the 10%
you need
to keep that personal.
And dude, you've been holding eye contact with me. You're being like legit, like real with me. And this is this is an awesome experience for me because I never thought starting these. I never thought I was gonna get here, but something's calling me.
Yeah.
Something's telling me you need to do this. I even had a meeting with an artist friend from Staten Island, and he told me, "What do you have there?" It goes, "Called My Manic Movies. It's a video story." He goes, "But I call My Manic Mondays. I want to do like a vlog where I just talk to the people so they know who I am."
Yeah.
And we're dumbing into this weird world where if someone says something about you, it's believable, even if it's not. I'm from the border. I grew up in a small town in Texas where somebody will say something about you. That person will say to somebody else. They'll make up an idea and they'll say that's how you are without even stepping a moment to get to know you.
Yep.
And then
Exactly.
you learn to be like, why? Let me help you out. Why is this? And you start going. You said you cut people off. If you could just share real quick, how hard and how important is that? I did that recently, and like 10 months ago, I'm barely feeling it now. I feel okay, but those 8 months was just
Well, it's funny you say about being judged, right? Or what people think of you. I'll take the suit, I'll wear a tank top, I'll jump on a motorcycle, I'll put a motorcycle cut on. Oh man, he's a gangster, he's this, he's that. So people judge that. I wear a suit, people judge that. So in and out, you'll be judged, people will come with an idea, and that's who you become. I think the easiest thing to do is weigh out the problems of what this person or what this thing means to you, the pros and cons. Like, well, the pros are this and that, and the cons are this and that, and that. And then you look at a theory of like, you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket, what do? They pull each other down. So is this person depositing in your mental bank account, or are they withdrawing? Because so many people can withdraw from your emotional bank account over and over and over, and that will bounce, and it will bounce, and it will bounce, and then you'll become, in my poem, mental prison. You don't want to see the lightness of day because you don't want to feel. And that's where you can become so deep into something where you just don't want to feel life. It's easier just to do this. So that's, you got to weigh it out. It's hard if you cut someone, but if they're not depositing your emotional bank account, it's if you feel lighter about the situation, like, oh,
yeah,
but you're still gonna feel it. You know what I mean? And people might turn around and come back, but careful with trusting if you've been hurt too much, because if you're lighter, put it that way. If you're a balloon being held down on the ground and you're supposed to fly and be free, what's weighing you down? It might be clip, and now you're like this. And then clip, and now you're like this, and clip, and then you're clip, but you have all these other oblique angles that you have to clip in order to be free. You're still held down, but you feel a little freedom. But now you start have to cut people or situations so you can be the balloon, the helium balloon. Otherwise, what happens to helium, in my experience, is that the helium will just end up dying. Mm-hmm. So in order to grow, you not just, people just think I'm gonna put a plant in a pot and I'm just gonna grow the tree so big. It's not. You need to take the plant out of the pot. I'm gonna go, there's people talking about you don't know what you're talking about. Theory wise, which I believe, which I was told, but whatever. Take the tree out of the pot and plant it into a bigger pot so it can grow bigger, and then it can grow bigger, and it has more potential. But if you keep it in a small pot, it's only going to grow that big because you need it to grow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you have to think. It's hard. I'm a martial artist. This doesn't hurt me, but it does. And then the cutting hurts and it goes into the inside. Then it becomes depression and anxiety and doubt and all this other stuff. So you have to be really certain that this situation is important. And if it's weighing you down and you feel free, then let it go. You know what I mean? If people aren't depositing, you're probably a giver. Give. If you loan a friend $10, don't expect it back because you'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if the friends you have are keeping tabs, well, I did this and I did that, or if I can tell you all the good things I did, I can't because I've done too many. I've had guys come up and say, "Hey, do you remember when you paid $200 and flew me out to this convention?" And I really don't remember, and I feel terrible.
No.
And I look at the pictures, and I'm like, that's happened a lot. I sell people money to come up here. I give free stuff. Happened a lot, which then I thought that was a bad thing, that my memory was going, but it was actually a good thing because you give so much that you shouldn't keep track of what you give. Bad things I can remember. Just like, because it's true. When something bad happens, 9/11, I knew where I was. I knew exactly this. I knew that. I knew the colors of the room, but that's the bad stuff. Good things should matter. Look at someone and say, "Hey, man, you need help. I need to talk to someone." Well, I had a girl come out of my Q&A today. She said, "Hey, I'm a counselor." I said, "I'm a counselor. You did really good. You could do this." I'm thinking, "Lady, I need a counselor. I need a counselor." But it's the truth. Yeah. I can always use advice and the truth because you're giving, but you're not getting. Yeah. This gives me reassurance.
I'll go to the movie aspect of what I do, and I don't want to take too much more of your time, but you said something right now, like you give somebody $5. A movie that came out that I saw when I was a kid, and I didn't really know I learned this move from a movie, but I'm happy I saw this movie. Maybe I shouldn't have seen it, and maybe somebody said, you can't watch this movie, but my parents, you can watch it. I watched A Bronx Tale. And there's that scene where the boy talks to Chaz Palminteri, and the Chaz Palminteri character catches him, Sonny catches him running against another kid. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "That guy owes me $20. He goes, "It's $20. You think he's gonna want to see you every time he sees you? He's gonna turn around. You got it off easy if you ask me. It's only $20. You never have to see that guy again." Yeah. And I realized, I was like, well, that's true. Because a coward will run away.
Yes.
Someone will hide. And a real person will be like, "Look, I'm sorry. I don't have your money." What I've learned as an adult now, there are some things like, "Hey, I know we said we're going to be here. I'm going to be late, but I'll let you know. I'll make up for it here." I'm aware of it. I'm like, I know you can get a hold of me. I'm not going to because my generation of people, they'll ghost you right away. Like, "Oh, my phone didn't work. Oh, I lost service. Oh, really?" Stuff like that. And you get that all the time. And I'm like, okay, what could you have done about it? Yeah. Like my mother, every time, this is the thing, my mother is like, something bad happens. "What did you do?" Like, what do you mean? I was just in the classroom the whole what could have you done? I was like, I don't know, but it makes you understand, like, just take care of yourself. Like, make sure something like that happens, you're good.
You got to. You're right, man. You got to own up. I mean, you got mothers out there that will listen to your problems, and mothers out there that will change. My mom don't tell me nothing bad, so why don't I talk to her? Is because I got nothing good to say. Then you could talk to me about your problems, and it's just you weigh people down sometimes. And, a good example of that is today. I'm going to do your show. Yeah. I don't know when, but I'm going to. So make sure they get it. Please make sure. Let me find a room. Give me a headspace. I don't need food right now. I need to do this. And that's a man of your word. You know what I mean? And that's what you need to do. A good example. I was riding my motorcycle through. I never heard of this town called Gangland, Texas. And I thought, man, that sounds like a movie. You know what I mean? I rolled up in Sonic, and the cops were rolling and pulling people over, and it was chaos. Like this Sonic and people, just I couldn't believe this town. So I went into the gas station to take a break, get gas, and get a candy bar or whatever. And this little kid came in with 3 other little kids, and he's scared of all these guys across the street. Like, "Oh man, I shouldn't have said that on Instagram or TikTok. He's mad." I said, "Oh, hold on." I said, "What did you do?" He said, "Well, I said something I wasn't supposed to say." So they're going to beat me up, so I'm hiding over here. And it's not good to hide. Now, I took a chance, but I don't know what kind of dad you have. But I said, listen, if you said something bad, this is what you need to do. You need to go over there and face all his friends and him and apologize. And say, "This is what I said. I apologize. If you're telling me you didn't say anything bad, then walk past them with no issues. The girl at the gas station said, oh, you're about to get them into a big fight. So I'm thinking, and I saw the confidence of this guy walk, say something, and nothing happened. And otherwise, this guy would be continuing being a troll and running and being like that. And in martial arts, that happened to me. I got bullied until one time I got bullied so bad I did a little back fist. Literally, in my mind, what did I learn? What did I learn? I just learned this. And I barely hit this little kid, Richie, had red hair, and barely hit him on the lip, barely. And I looked, he started crying and crying. Oh, you're dying. And I stuck up for myself. And that was the day where I said, you know what? This ain't happening no more. I was a comic book collector. You're going to make fun of my Wolverine shirt. We're going to have an issue. I wasn't a bully, but when you walk with confidence, people won't mess with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when you talk about hiding, yeah, man, that's the last thing you want to do is hide because it's so exhausting. You know what I mean? The hardest thing to do is be transparent. And like you said, if you did something, do it. They're fast to ghost you. You know what I don't like in this industry? Hey, man, don't tell me something because I want to hear it. I could say, keep up your podcast really good. I don't have to say, well, I'll do it. And then don't. And that's what happens in this industry. Hey, man, we should do a movie together. I call on it, they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't say something because you don't have to say anything. Like, we'll see you tomorrow. If you're not going to that, don't say anything. Say bye. You know, and it's one of those things where it's like, LA is the worst for it. Mm-hmm. If you tell me something, please tell me, and don't get my hopes up. Like me, oh, I'll do your podcast. Okay, when? And if I ghost you, that's going to lower maybe all these issues or lower self-esteem or what did I say wrong, what did I do wrong, or the 5 will turn into a 1 because I cannot believe he ghosted me.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. So people just kind of have to kind of own up to what you've done.
The little time I waited, like the volunteers were coming. He said he was going to come right back. So you stay right here, don't move. And I was like, I have my phone right here. Like that's what I love about the convention people, man. They see it. They're open to things, and they're just like, please, he's going to come back. Like it was more like, don't upset you. And you're right. It's like a 50-50, and everything that we come in here and to be like, I see it just like a little bubble. It's only time that we have to hang out. The only time we get to spend. After that, you're right. We don't have to be like, hey, the next one or this one. But especially in Hollywood, they feel like you have to. They feel like this just so you. I remember I said that last thing and you remembered it, and it's just kind of like, dude, we're digital age, man. Like you know, I can text you. We can. It's not a big deal, but you're right. It's about being the man that pulls the trigger, and a lot of people get really scared of that. I've told that to people too. I'm like, I can make a short movie like this, and I'd be like, what do you want? And people are like, I want to work with you. I'm like, do it tomorrow. I'm like, what? I'm like, I got 3 hours. I go, we don't.
That's how I got my role on Power Rangers. Was persistency. And I told the story again. I'm gonna shorten the story. Went to an agency. They said, we don't like your look. Cut your hair. Take your earrings out. Come back the next day. I went back. He said, we're not gonna represent you. Literally, I'm on the phone booking a Coca-Cola commercial. I had one of my black belts, and even the way I looked, I said, I'm not leaving. We have an issue. You're not representing me? I was shocked. Nope. I said, but you said you would. You said come back the next day, and I did, and I'm here. And I cut my hair, and I feel really weird about cutting my hair. I was persistent. Now imagine if I just put my tail between my legs and left, I wouldn't be in this position. So when you say something and you're persistent, I'm not going to bully you, but I'm going to tell you we need to work at. We need to figure something out.
Yeah.
And if not, then I know you're that type of person.
Yeah.
And I met those type of people.
And I'll even tell you this: what helped me out was I wrote here because I just remember the Power Rangers movie. I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah.
The DVD commentary. I watch all of it. I forgot who the director's name is.
From the movie?
Yeah,
from Brian Spicer.
Brian Spicer. Yeah.
He did, what did he do? The TV show, gosh, I can't think of it, but I used to watch it. Anyway, he did a TV show.
He did
Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Oh, yes. Oh,
yeah,
man.
He directed some of that.
I said, when I met Mark Paul Gosselaar, Zach Morris, I said, dude, when I was a kid growing up, it was like, I watched you, Zach Morris, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose. He started laughing. Like, Parker Lewis, like, I love that. That was,
and that's this director. And I was like, oh, cool, here I'm working with real people in life. That's like in my movie, I got real actors. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, like, wow, people I grew up with.
Yes,
like
exactly.
To work with, you know?
So the DVD commentary at the end, Brian, they talks about working with y'all. And there's like a part when you're like it looks at you, you're younger, but you have that bright eye. You're like, I'm on a movie set. Like I love that energy you have. But Brian said something about that it would take long takes because he wanted it to be like a really good. Yeah, he took a lot. But the good thing he said about all y'all took it in good.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking about, I don't know how old it was, maybe 40 or something. Y'all were like 20, 21, and I'm like, for him to get y'all on the same page to do that, it's had to have been hard. But working on that set, and I mean, I'm seeing that, and I'm watching y'all having so much fun, and I'm like, I love this movie. It's almost a perfect movie. I mean, CGI hasn't aged a little bit, but outside of that, I mean, I love it only because it took the Power Rangers. I felt like it took here and it took them up here, and it gave y'all can play with the big boys, and y'all can do that. But watching that DVD commentary, watching him talk about how persistent y'all would show up on time, discipline, how because that helped me. I felt like I was flatlined in my movies. But once I saw that, it kind of was like, oh, more time. I need to put more time, which I thought was going to go like this for me, which kind of dipped, but then it put it back up because I wanted to see more of the good stuff. I don't want just people to sit here, I put a camera here, you walk in, and I was like, no, we can really get into this. This camera it's an eye lens, it can move. And once I started learning more of that, I was like, oh, so being on that set, did that help? That having you like at that young age having discipline and having to go with that?
I mean, I started on Power Rangers. I was 15 episodes. Okay, I put the best in I could. And I'm the longest lasting for a reason. Dedication. I don't care about money. I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to tell you what you need to do before you lose the brand. And the reason why, even the 30th year anniversary, it's not a real anniversary unless you have the real originals. And there's no content. It's toys, toys, toys. Let me tell you what you need to do. Way back then, no. Ratings started dipping. So, and truthfully, as a director, you have to say everyone to cover your bases in politics. But I was one of those guys that'd be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's not it. It could be better. You need to move camera here. I mean, we would do, since you're in the film, we would do a master shot of me doing that bow staff kata, okay? And then I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna do a 2-shot. And then roll, everyone does the same thing. And then I'm gonna do a single shot, roll, I'm doing the same thing. I did that bow staff kata so many times. I told that director, Mr. Tanner, I love you. And that was the day we had a new stunt choreography, because I told him, you can't shoot a movie like that. If I'm not in the shot, save my energy. I've done that over and over and over again. So yeah, I was there the first one, and I was there to learn a lot about movies. Is the camera on me? Then can you save that actor his energy? No, the camera's not on you. Then if it's not on me, I can still do stuff, but don't make me do this kata. So that bow staff kata was a very, very difficult thing to do. And if you look at my bow staff that I still have, I have this little rope. It's broken. This is my bow staff. I have a little tiny rope wrapped around it all the way up. I broke my bow staff. And I said, you need to fix it. I don't know what to tell you. We'll use this. I was like, but it doesn't match. It's not the same stick. I need my bow staff. Fix it. So they duct taped it in like this little rope. And I still have it. They put this little rope because that's how I was. I wanted to make sure at least I did stuff. I would have done things a lot different if I owned the brand. It could have been here. The audience is here. But they're going to lose it if they don't get something like Cobra Kai or something else. That's why it was either I do the 30th year or I stay with my own IP and grow as Eric Reed and grow as a filmmaker and grow as a person. I can't be Tommy all the time because look, I'm a different person now. And you'll be able to see some good acting versus Power Rangers. I've gone back too many times to help. But now, I went back for help for nothing, and now it's like, help me. But now you realize Tommy's important after 30 years because you're not getting this. That's all people needed, and Haim has never done that. I left Turbo because he offered me more money, and I got offended, and everyone thinks I'm stupid. You can't buy me.
That's
you just
a good
can't
point.
buy me. You can't buy me. I don't want to feel on the end of the day like dirty, like you just bought me and I sold my soul. I'm not gonna do that.
That's a good point, man.
I'm just not gonna do it.
And one of my things I like to do with the show I have is called My Manic Media. What is your My Manic Media? What is your media right now? And it can be anything from like I found out about. I went and bought a vinyl record player because I had all these vinyls, and one of my guests was on a filmmaker, and they said you should go buy a record player and listen to that vinyl and see the difference. And I was like, wow, this is great. I started listening to about buying vinyl tracks of CDs and EPs I have. Also movies, like I like watching movies. I like watching shorts. By the way, The Bat in the Sun, when you came out on that, when they revealed that it was you, it made that video. I was like, it's him. Look.
Aaron's a credible filmmaker, man. The way he would shoot, oh my gosh. And that's why with The Legend of the White Dragon, hands down, he knows everything what fans want. And companies like Hasbro, we become a number, and they don't understand what the fans want. I've been out here for years, and I know what everyone wants, but more importantly, I know what I want. I want to do my dream.
Yeah.
Let me follow my dreams and do my dream. There's nothing wrong with it. You can't give me thumbs down on that.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving the brand, yes, but I'll sign Green Ranger stuff. I'm a superhero. I'm many different superheroes. Different colors, the green, the white, this, that. I'm proud of it, but now it's time at my age. Like Chuck Norris told me at the age of 50, he started his career, and I can't wait till I'm 50 because that's when the career will begin. You know what I mean? And so, but as far as that, I want to get my dad's old radio back. I want to hook up the old stuff like the old times.
Yeah.
But on this cell phone and what we have, those kids nowadays, they don't write cursive, and and then Siri becomes their teachers, and for me, I think that's a bad thing for this generation.
Yeah.
And they take it too hard. You didn't text me back, you didn't text back, you didn't text back, you didn't text back. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? It causes anxiety.
It does.
So I got off my phone for, 4 months and cut down some social media. It lowers my anxiety. And what my thought is on that person, I'm working. Right now in the middle of this, people texting and I'm working. This is more important right now. I'll get to everybody, but when I'm here at this time or that time, can't text me in the middle of a show and want to talk because it's the fans' time at this time. When I'm done, I'm done.
You're done, yeah, Jason.
You know
Jason.
what I mean? Yeah. And that's what it is.
And that's good, yeah. So you go back to old school, like even like with this, growing up where people were constantly telling me, well, Google says this, and I had to, I don't mean to be a jerk, but I had to be a certain people and be like, what do you think?
Yeah.
You need to hide behind that phone. Tell me what you think. And they were like, oh, you're being a jerk. I'm like, no, you're being codependent on that thing. And as we get older, and I was like in my early 20s, now I'm almost 40, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I didn't realize that you held on to this item as it was like a personal thing to you.
Yeah.
Like even when I drop my phone, I don't know where it's at. I don't get panicky. I'm just like, well, it's on the cloud. I'll just buy a new one.
Yeah.
And I don't really be like it. But I know people. I've seen people that freak out. I'm just like, some people are my age.
I was guilty like that, man, during the COVID times when I didn't have my phone, no passwords for 7 days. I couldn't reach out to fans. I couldn't do this. I freaked out. It caused a really high anxiety. But also now learning that that's not the way to live. Is like, for example, this show, busy every single day, busy. But I haven't really been on social media that much. Legend of the White Dragon, other stuff like that. So, and a lot of actors aren't, but it's because of all the work I put in before that pays off now.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work that people don't see, what it takes to make a movie, what it takes to be a human being, what it takes to do shows, what it takes to talk to people, what it takes to dig things out of people, because they're shy. They don't know what to say, so I'm the one that's got to dig things out of them. So it's and Google's wrong, because you can Google it. It's shocking to me that anyone can change someone's Wikipedia. That is shocking to me. I read it, I'm like, that's not true. Take it off. Indian, I'm not Indian. Take it off. Irish, I'm not Irish. People change Wikipedia. Where is the privacy? Google says something that people want to Google. It's not correct. There's no facts to back it. Do what I learned as a 4-year-old child when I trained in martial arts. Stick to those stories that were passed down from generations and don't Google it. Because if you try to Google Jeet Kune Do and break it down into characters, right, of the kanjis, it breaks down to food. People don't understand, well, how did Bruce Lee make this wave of the intercepting fist? The kanjis don't make sense, but it's Bruce Lee. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares about a kanji? You spend way too much time to tear that down because you're listening to Google.
Yeah.
And Google's not always right.
No, it's just a bunch of opinions together.
Opinions, and everyone has an opinion. And as people that don't know me, don't talk about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things where people also, this is important that people don't do. They don't stick up for people that they know. They want to sit at the table and they're going to talk crap about everyone else, and that person needs to say this. Hey, hold up. I met him and he's really good to me. So if this is the conversation, I'm gonna walk away, and you guys can have it.
Yeah.
People don't. They just, I heard so and so. I said, why would you not say something? Why would you not say, hey, dude, this guy's, he spent an hour with me after a show and hasn't even had lunch, hasn't even eaten.
Yeah.
But people are too cowardly to do that. But they're brave behind this. You know what I mean? Is that still recording?
Yeah, still got it.
Okay.
We got it. Yeah, I'm sorry, we got about an hour. I'll let you go already. You already have enough time.
An hour flew by.
It did.
But anything else, man? You can end it on a good note or whatever you want to end.
I'll end it on a man. Like it's it's so hard. As a fanboy, I'm like up here, but as a professional, I'm reading right in the middle.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, for people out there that we're watching, you are a human being.
Yeah.
And you do bleed, you do sweat, you do have tears, you do have all that. But in our eyes, you are a superhero.
Yeah.
How would you want to tell the people out there that you, not really how you tell them, but like there is a hard division there. When are you a superhero and when are you
I'll
Jason?
break it down. I'd rather not die cowardly on my knees and fall. I'd rather fight on my knees and continue to bleed.
Yeah.
Because a fighter is a fighter, and I don't give up.
Yeah.
And that's what a superhero is. Don't give up. And the days you feel like giving up on those suicide days, I don't care who it is and what you do. Why does he have suicide? Why is it this? It's like a target, right? And in the middle of the target, we all feel the same. So we're all going to get around each other and we're all going to do what we do. You know what I mean? So being a superhero, in my eyes, is being transparent and know that I will continue fighting. I don't care if people want to drag names through the mud. I will continue fighting. I'd rather fight on my knees and bleed instead of just die on my knees and fall.
Yeah.
And keep fighting till the end, because there's 86,400 seconds a day, and I can leave right now and get hit by a car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we have a time capsule that people can go back and look at. And just be true to yourself and try to get your life on track, but also try to look at yourself and your flaws and fix them. Because if you don't fix them yourself, then you're just going to have a miserable life, and it's really hard to do. And it took me years and years to figure stuff out, because I've been a puppet doing movies. I've lived in movies. I've lived on shows. I've lived on a dojo. I've traveled. I've disciplined myself that you don't know my mom is dying right now. Feet together, hands your side, hashidash. So you stuff it. You stuff it and stuff it. So being a superhero, to me, is just being truthful and hearing this, that we all deal with issues and that I'm no different than you, because we all can be heroes. And whatever job you have, do it with passion and just be kind, because that's what a superhero does, is to be kind from the heart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can still kick butt. My movie's awesome, but anyway.
So personally, just for me, real quick, what's your favorite movie or movie you go back to? You're like, I gotta watch this movie.
Really, Donnie Brasco.
Let's go.
Because there's a good scene. That's why I like Michael Madsen. There's just a good scene where he was wired, his boots were wired, and they said take off your shoes, and he had to go to a Japanese restaurant, and I take shoes off before I bow to the dojo. That's right. And it happened to be one of his top 5 scenes that I didn't know about, but it was, for me, it was intense, because he's like, all right, take off your boots, and he was like, he's wired, he's like, I ain't taking off my boots. It's like, why? Take off your boots. And so he made an excuse, but he didn't have to go along and beat this guy up to stay undercover. And it was like little things like that can affect you. You know what I mean? But it was an intense scene. But I could watch Donnie Brasco over and over and over again. It's shocking how you could be undercover that long and turn your friends in. It's got to be heartless, maybe, because he's made friends in that world, and he disappeared for 6 years. I don't know how he did it. I don't know. I still think he gave money or took money. but anyway, it was one of those movies that I like, because I can watch it over and over again, because that's my favorite. I don't watch Johnny Depp movies at all.
Yeah, but that's good.
At all. That's like the only movie I watch, and I don't know why it when I watch it, I like Michael Madsen. It's interesting how you can go undercover and be that person and live a different life. When he would go to his wife, she's like, who you becoming?
That's
right.
Right.
He's like, you're becoming a monster. It's like, that's who I am. He started having these residual stuff come out, and he got lost. and didn't know who he
And
was.
in that character.
In that character. He got lost and didn't know who he was. And so I just like that movie. I don't know.
I like my favorite scene is the Christmas scene where
He gave him the money, took the money back.
He goes, I remember he goes, here's a 2,000. Oh, here's 2,000. Hey, let me borrow that.
That was funny. And then the thing about being a black belt too, when he's like, hey, he's like, I got your keys to the car. He's like, I'm a black belt in karate. You know, that whole thing. I remember that. Or you know, so but anyway, it was just interesting to me, and it was interesting how he was just acting. But feeling, you know, he was really feeling for these guys. You could see him, But he's a good actor, and I enjoyed that movie.
Well, thank you so much, Jason David Frank. It was.
What about your favorite movie?
My favorite.
What was your favorite movie?
My favorite movie. Okay, apparently I like tragedies. My favorite movie is 1986 Transformers the movie.
Okay.
That is, and I can connect with this one. This is my show's probably, this is what I bring up a lot. The reason this is a big one is I didn't really know this about myself, and so I started going back. And I have pretty sharp memory. I can remember like when I was 3 or 4. And so my aunt, I was raised, my parents were split or whatnot, or they're always working at one point. So I was with my special needs aunt and my grandma. My special needs aunt can drive. She had like a 74 Pinto. So we used to go to the movies all the time. And I used to like always go to the movies with her. I met Brendan Fraser through this, and I like fell in love like with my moment of my aunt again because she loved Brendan. We watched every Brendan Fraser movie that went in the early '90s, and we used to go saw all these movies together. I'd always go to the movies with her, and I didn't realize that movies were being, and they just put in front of my youthful face. And then in 1994, I think it was like October 13th, she passed away. And she died. Yeah, like where she died.
But you know, we'll talk about death. There's like grief books out there, right? And there's so many things that we don't know what to say, or we say that those people don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So it's hard to deal with grief as well. And then I had to read a book when I just said sorry about that. It's like, you know, I don't know what to tell people when people pass away. You got to learn the words.
Yeah.
But continue.
So what happened? No, you're right about that because you might say, because sometimes I'm just like, I got nothing. Like I don't want to say anything bad.
Well, they could have gone a different way. It's like, don't say that. He died. He committed suicide. How rude are you to say that?
Yeah. And you're right. That is like none of your personal business, but when the movie Optimus Prime dies at the end of the first act or like around there, and everybody, I didn't know it was a toy thing related, but you lose your main character in the beginning of the movie. To me, like this was years later because I would binge that movie. Like I was like, it went from like 4th grade, she passed away, then like junior high I started watching it, and somehow I remember my aunt, my tia Ethel bought it for me like at a Walmart. It was at a bin, and I looked at her and she goes, "You want it?" I go, "Yeah." It was a VHS. I just watched that movie. Never cried or anything, but I think when I look back as an adult, I think what happened was my aunt died, and these new characters had to come in my life, and they're really not the best examples, but they're gonna try. And they're gonna go in there, and they're gonna give you, you're gonna help you out, because there is a boy in the movie called Daniel that goes through this journey with these like I would say just superheroes or pirates kind of feeling, and they're staying there, and they're showing the kid like new things. He learns how to be a robot himself. One thing that I broke this, my 4-year-old, I broke this down. We were watching it, and I said, "This is why." I go, "There's a robot named Soundwave. No, it's Blaster. He's the good one. Soundwave's the bad one. He's in the broadcast the satellite sending out, hey, we need to go. We're on attack. You need to reach out to Optimus Prime." So then Projector, which is a giant microscope, he comes out and says, "Hey, you need to send out a message to Optimus Prime." Well, at the same time, Megatron sees it's funny you're keeping up with me. I know you could.
No.
You know all these people and stuff. Like I don't have to explain. It's so cool. I don't have to explain any of this. So Megatron tells Soundwave, "Hey, yo, go beat up Blaster." Or I'm telling my son, I go, "Look, check this out. Blaster is on the computer working it out. Those little robots break in, and then Perceptor tries to fight them, and he can't fight them. But he sacrifices himself right there to be like, run, Blaster, save yourself. I'm gonna fight these little things." Yeah. Well, Blaster is like, "No way." He actually kicks the dog, which I thought was funny. He kicks the dog, and then he goes, "I got him too." So he threw out these other robots that had to, and it took me a second to be like, you can't beat those things, so they're not you. Mm-hmm. But if you know something that you can, and you bring them in, hey, it's some kind of battle. It could be, I told my son the way I broke it down was graphic design. You might not be able to be the best illustrator. You go find someone to be the illustrator. He's 4, but I'm telling him this. Yeah. And I was like, if you're not the best writer, go find somebody, because you might be trying to force yourself, and you can't. You're not.
You need a team of people.
Yeah, you need a team.
Man.
So
you need a team of people. But that's funny with the Transformers, because then I became emissary. I did the Transformers, the Titans Returns.
Yeah.
And I was the voice with all the original Transformers that I grew up with as well. You know what I mean? And that was an accomplishment. I was in the Transformer world, and that was a big accomplishment. But yeah, man, movies, just being a kid, and I spent all my time in the dojo.
Yeah.
I barely started watching TV. Never watched TV because I was in it, because I just looking at the shots and looking at the continuity, and just my mind just went crazy with watching Robert De Niro, like just doing different things with his hands. It must be a nightmare to be a director. Okay, hold on, continuity, hold on, let's put this here. It's just those, it drove me crazy until I can get into it because I was in the film.
Yeah.
So I have to step back out and look at a movie and really grab the interest to forget about all that stuff. Because as filmmakers, it's going to drive you crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah, we're already crazy as it is. I'll tell you this, what you said, I love that you said when you turn 50, and that's when you're going to do your career.
Yeah.
I have, when I was working at the steakhouse, I was waiting tables, and an older gentleman, Jim, a friend of mine now, he was an actor, and he was telling me, he's like, you just keep going. And he goes, and I said some comment like, dude, I think at the time I was like 30, I was 35, and I said, man, this acting thing's really beating me up, man. He goes, stick with it. You've been doing this as your kid. You're almost there. He goes, you're almost 40. Yeah. I think about it. I go, what does that mean? Am I too old? Or was no? That's my favorite actors. When they turn 40, that's when I love watching them. And he just went on this long list, and I thought about it, and I went, you know why? Because I have experience in life that I can use I didn't have to use till now. And it's just been sitting there. And then even like what you said earlier about like holding on to things, like you're right. There's sometimes it's just there. Yeah. And I feel like
Howard Fine said this, that you must carry a toolbox, right? Carry a toolbox with you with emotions in it. And an actor, when a regular person drowns, they drowned. But as an actor, you're wondering, well, what do I feel? What am I supposed to, what is it? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff that actors are thinking about, and regular people are doing it because they don't need it. But that toolbox that you're carrying is the mental health toolbox. You got to be able to help that and still pull it, but don't hold on to it. So as an actor, I was like, I got so much stuff inside of me, but then I got all screwed up in the head. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to heal some, you know, and change images that no longer work.
Yeah.
Like, let me think of this to be sad. Okay, that image is no longer. Let me think of this. So, you know, still heal and keep your toolbox, but keep some to yourself too, if that makes sense. You have to have a toolbox of emotions, or use what you have that day. I had anxiety, I had this, I use it for the scene, bro. I don't feel, you're tired, use it for the scene. Actors, the worst, like this. Just do whatever you're doing, like I'm doing right now in real life.
Yeah.
Actors, we need space to act. Most people think this. Okay, it just, in my film, when you have space, do what feels right, and don't think about it.
So I'm gonna watch Mask, man.
Watch it and watch all the poems, man, and let me know. We got your contact.
Yeah, I totally.
I'd be curious. Now, here's the thing too. I tell people to watch it, and they don't watch it. I'm like, I know you will, but you know, it's more watch it and give me feedback. Okay, and they never give me feedback. Then don't tell me you're gonna watch it. You will, but
no, that's okay.
I know you will, but you see what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm gonna do this and this. Just don't tell me. Just move on. And people need to understand that you don't need to say something to get people's hopes up, because it could be the littlest thing to you. You know, who owns Image? Todd McFarlane. Okay, he came up to me and said he loves the way I treat my fans. Absolutely love. Never seen anyone like that. We put you in a cameo in Predator. You know, but that was a very small thing to say, but it never came. Yeah. And where is it? And I can't get a hold of him. But don't tell me that. It's a big thing for me.
Yeah, it is. Especially that.
But for him, it ain't no big deal. But for me, I'm like, oh, when's he gonna call me for my cameo? Probably never.
But the thing I say, I think you might be a little bit ahead of your time, because you're talking about mass as emotion. People are using filters nowadays. I want to see what's going to happen in a few years, or like 5 years, when you can't hide behind that filter. Or are we all going to have to pretend that we have the filter? Because it's really weird when I meet somebody online and make an online friendship, and they have a filter on the whole time, and then I meet them, and I'm like, dude, you look nothing like it. Which I have nothing wrong with that, but it's hard for me to. That confident person online is not the person I'm seeing in front.
But people, and it's killing girls. It's literally eating them up. You know what I mean? Like, my daughter's so beautiful. She's a singer, and she does great in the movie. And there's a lot of people that they use that for insecurities. The people that do that, in my opinion, are the most insecure people. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I take pictures, you look for the light, and then in Eric Reed in the movie, it looks just like my head's all like, you see the lights, I'm like, good, he looks dark, he looks messed up, let's keep him like that. I don't need makeup here, touch it up. But that's the thing, the people that do that act like that, in my opinion, are the people that are insecure, not the secure people.
Yeah.
Secure people can just take a picture and be that. Don't be someone you can't be in real life. Yeah. Because I can't connect to someone that's fake in a computer, like King Batch in our movie. He lives in a computer, he has no feelings, he doesn't understand what that means. I do, we don't get along. Yeah. But he lives in the computer world.
Yes.
He's always happy. I can't communicate with you in the computer world because your world's supposed to be perfect, but when you meet him, you're like, that's not who you're supposed to be. Who I see, even within.
Man, you just gave me something. I'm writing a character right now, and what you just told me right now, I was missing it. You're right, because that's a guy that lives in a box, the computer, and I had him interacting too much, and my buddy said, you need to be more annoying. First starting, I go, that's annoying. He goes, no, you be annoying like you can be. Damn, that kind of got me. Yeah. But as you're starting, you're right. The character, if you're too much like this, you can't. You have too much control. Yeah. And if you lose that control, you freak out. Yeah. And that's why you can't be in public, or you can't be out because private, because you gotta keep living in that box, and that's a dangerous thing. Yeah. But like you sitting here, you taking the time. I'm gonna let you go. Yeah. I like saying talking, like getting to know you. I appreciate it. This is a Mind Manic Mondays. It's just the movie of mental health. There's no more movie than this. This is the closest to movie I get. Thank you for sharing your feedback. You, brother, I'll let you go, man.
One last thing for all the people who want to be actors. Go deep. Okay, you got to go deep. You got to understand where I got this pen. You got to understand what this paper means. You got to understand where the phone. Got to understand where we're at. Be aware of your surroundings. And they say, why? You don't have to. Yeah, because you're comfortable in the space. You know where you're at. Then go deeper. Who's this person to me? Who's this person? Then go deeper. I went so deep on 1265 on the side of my head that's becoming a comic book based off the character I built.
That's awesome.
So as an actor, build everything.
Yeah.
Where'd you get your shoes? It just takes anxiety off everything. You should know who you are. It's like, and there's an example of an actor in the movie that didn't have a watch and wanted a watch. And I said, no, you don't need that. Because you don't need to know time because of this and that, and it worked out. You just know where you're at, and don't act when the camera rolls. Just be yourself. And practice because it ain't easy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So if you're an actor, practice, sharpen your sword. Don't just jump in because you might get one opportunity, and you get one shot, and that's it. And never ask how much you're gonna get paid. In my opinion.
Just do it. Yeah, you're right. Because being in the movie is a payment enough.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Thanks, guys, for watching.
All right.
That was my sit-down interview with Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. As you can tell, the guy is like he was super genuine, super sincere. Looked me in my eyes every time he spoke to me, which I freaking love. He will be missed, and one thing about Jason David Frank is he loved his fans, and he was really, really like one-on-one, down to earth with them. You reached out to him, you reached back out. So I gotta say that this interview, if anything, is for his fans. It's to see him one more time. I'm pretty sure a lot of other stuff's gonna pop up, but this was my experience with him. And man, he was a great person. A lot of the video clips that you're about to watch are from his social media, so we're still present in the sense that we can go back and watch. We can go to his YouTube or his Instagram at JDFFFN, and then there's also the movies, Power Rangers. There's also the show. There's tons of media that we can still kind of connect with him and still see him. But as of new material, new content, we will not. But we will always live in our memories, in our soul, in our heart. And I just want to say thank you, Jason David Frank, for bringing us everything that you possibly could to help us, get by, help us to keep going. Because mental health is a big topic because it's like breathing. It's like drinking water. You have to do it. You have to condition yourself. I'm not giving advice because I don't have any advice. I'm just an example. And when I talk about, say, an example of how you can work with your mental health. So I just want to say thank you for taking the time. Enjoy these clips that I got off of at JDFFFN. And I do have some links at the bottom, just in case you need to go check out mentalhealth.gov, or you have any other people that you need to speak to, or maybe I can find some links. Anybody? This is a conversation, is what I like to say. Mental health is a conversation. But thank you for taking the time for watching this video, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.
Oh, is that my cue? Did you guys say it? It's morphin' time! Yes, yes, yes.
Shut up and sit down.
Morphin' time! You go first! 2, 3. It's morphin' time! Triceratops!
That's why I didn't do other movies for reasons. And I just feel that was something that I always want to do. It's just a dream that came true. No matter what happens to the film, I feel fulfilled. I'm going to reach my dream. Nobody believed the Power Rangers was canceled so many times, but you beat that. So sometimes you got to always think.
Kill next weekend. Kill next weekend. I was getting